My name is Shakufe. I'm the Global Technical Lead with the Early Childhood Development Action Network. And we have a whole GISP team. And actually, Amanda, you've all received emails, and she'll be doing a presentation a bit later on. She's the global coordinator for the Global Initiative to Support Parents. And the GISP was initiated, the founding partners were EGDAN, the Global Partnership to End Violence Against Children, the World Health Organization, UNICEF, and Parenting for Lifelong Health at Oxford University. But while these are the 5 founding partners, it's definitely not limited to these 5 partners, and you'll see how that is. Before I begin, I wanted, since this is a global parenting dialogue, I wanted to put this up here first, because once I finish, then we'll open it to the floor to hear from the community for a bit, and then we'll have facilitated dialogue. So for everyone who has programs on the ground, who has something to share, we'd really, really love for you to share with us. But because we are many and time is short, we'll give the floor for 2 minutes. We'll do like a rapid round. We'd love to hear from you if you have an initiative or a program on the ground. We'd love to know who the target age group is, the target population, what level of support are you providing, whether it's a universal program or it's targeted to particular population groups. What is an emerging lesson or something exciting that's happening in your program that we can all learn from? And then finally, an idea or a fee for what needs to be done better together. Like where is it that collective action can really help advance the work you're doing in country? So I'll give you a second to kind of take down these main points, because then we'll open it to the floor for 2-minute interventions from you, and so that we can hear from everyone. All right. With that said, I will continue. I mean, this is something we don't need to share here because we're a community of parent supporters. But essentially, during COVID-19, as we saw services for parents and children collapse, we found parents were beginning to become the front line of children's caregiving. They were their teachers, they were their doctors, they were their nurses, they were their counselors, but parents themselves, there was no support provided in any systematic way. So we really felt like we needed to bring supporting parents and caregivers to the forefront of our collective action, and that was sort of the birth of the Global Initiative to Support Parents. So what do we mean by structured parenting interventions? This could be anything that supports improvement of parent-child interactions, promotes communication play, reinforces different behaviors, including for the early childhood people across the nurturing care framework, and so on and so forth. So all the parenting programs are quite different in their objectives and so on. So it's the range of initiatives. We are really compelled by the actual evidence in support of parenting programs. We now have so many systematic reviews that are completed on parenting, and we're starting to see that the return on investment across multiple SDG outcomes for parenting is quite high, and yet we don't have a cohesive narrative for parenting and parent support. The initiative was set about to build bridges and to build upon existing frameworks and guidelines, not out to create anything new. So starting from early childhood, middle childhood, all the way to adolescence, wanting to build bridges across the life course, so that when we are working in countries, we do have a common narrative, a common approach, and to build bridges across sectors so that we don't have parenting just for child protection or just for early childhood or caring for caregiver mental health. So bringing together the sectors of adolescence, mental health, early childhood, and building on all the evidence-based programs. We really want to build this common platform where we can all sort of create a common narrative around parent support and see what we could do to increase, especially the physical space around parenting and the scaling of parenting initiatives. So this is sort of our rough theory of change that we've been working on for how parenting support interventions work, around what are the core contents that usually the range of parenting programs provide, the range of parenting skills they try to address, what the parenting outcomes are, and as a result, what the adult and child outcomes are and societal outcomes are there. And again, this is across the life course, across different sectors as well, including gender, child protection, education, learning, and so on. And the two core elements of the approaches that we've taken is kind of chunking the early childhood, middle childhood, and adolescence, because we know what parent support providing at these different levels are quite different, and the approaches required are different. But then also getting, standing behind the pyramid approach, which is what are the parent supports that we can agree on that's needed for universally. And again, this will differ from country to country, context by context, depending on the priority parent behaviors for a country that they wish to target. But we want to be able to talk about what is universal support and what are the different modalities of delivery across that, all the way to intensive, targeted interventions. And we're hoping that, together we can start working towards more national parenting strategies that address parent needs at these different levels and across the different age groups, across the early childhood, middle childhood, and adolescence, and we can start to come together. And it's no longer about just promoting any particular package, but rather getting behind what are the changes that we want to see and what is the support really needed for parents and caregivers. So why, again, we come to the Global Initiative to Support Parents. We see the Global Status of Report on Preventing Violence Against Children by WHO that was launched in 2020, where only 26% of governments self-report that they say they're reaching all the parents that need it. And this is government self-report, which is usually higher than reality, and it's still only 26% are needed. So we have the strong evidence for the effectiveness of parenting support, but the interventions are frequently siloed across sectors. They're not seen as national priorities for investment, and were not brought to scale for all who need them. And the pandemic itself has disrupted tremendously. So we're really sitting in this scenario right now that we all have an opportunity to do something together, and that's really the whole aim of GIST. It's, again, like I said, not to build anything new, but rather build a platform where we can all come and work together. So, quick vision, mission to our vision is that we enable all parents and caregivers to access quality evidence-based parenting support according to their needs by 2027. We want to transform government recognition and resources of evidence-based parenting interventions and programs, and dramatically improve childhood health and well-being through targeted national assistance and international advocacy. Again, the initiative was started by ECTAN and Violence, Parenting for Lifelong Health, Oxford University, UNICEF, and WHO, but not limited to these 5 agencies. And sort of our 4 pillars of action, we have an advocacy pillar for coordinated advocacy action, and we actually have a lot of work on the way there around generate evidence and knowledge sharing, around innovation, because also what emerged during COVID-19 was all these innovative ways of program delivery and reaching parents and so on and so forth. And then finally, the 4th pillar on scale. The principles that we want to support is that there should be evidence of impact, low cost, non-commercial, open source and adaptive where possible, scalable and sustainable, and we have policy partnerships, especially with governments. In terms of actions, last year, probably a lot of you would have attended with the support of USAID and in collaboration with WHO and the GIST partners, we've had regional convenings. We had one in the Africa region, in the Asia region, in the Latin America region, and we have actually a Middle Eastern conference coming up, where the idea is to bring together communities to share evidence base, generate policy dialogue, promote a whole of government approach, and build regional coalitions that are cross-sectoral and across the life course. Again, that's like the real key about this initiative, that it's not about ECD parenting or child protection parenting, but rather across the life course and across sectors. The convenings, I have to say, were done definitely in partnership with regional actors, like, for example, in the Africa region, the Africa ECD network played a big role in convening, and in Asia, the ARNIC, which is the ECD network in the Asia region. And so the 3 interlocking themes that was on global evidence and guidelines, local examples of effective interventions, and government support, financing, and scale up, which was the focus of the convenings. And from that, we were hoping that we'd have a common understanding of what is meant by evidence-based parenting interventions, the rationale for investing, and pathways of collaboration and scale. so some of the things the initiative has undertaken over the past couple of years. In 2022, the initiative collaborated around supporting parenting tips, evidence-based parenting tips led by PLH for Ukraine. As I mentioned, we had the Africa regional convening, which had over 1,500 registrants. Then we had the Pakistan floods, and again, the community came together to develop tips for Pakistan and support Pakistan parenting response efforts. We've had events at the UNGA and other convenings like the SVRI conference. The Latin America regional convening happened in October. The Southeast Asia actually was an in-person convening in New Delhi. And then there was a virtual one as well in November, December. And we actually had the World Conference in Early Childhood Care and Education. We had a whole parenting parallel session. At the launch of the WHO guidelines on parenting, which is exciting. And we also had in New York a high-level dialogue hosted by the government of Japan. And now we're right smack towards the end, almost towards the end of the parenting month that we've been collaborating. In addition to this, the GIST partners have a technical working group, and there are many different learning working groups as well. For example, one on fatherhood that have hosted webinars on fatherhood and are potentially planning a conference on father engagement as well. So you'll find reports from the regional meetings, all the content in terms of the sessions and who the speakers were and so on and so forth. All of this will be available, is available as well. This is an example of the recent events. So as GIST, we actually have a quarterly GIST newsletter that you can share your parenting updates that we distribute every quarter. We also have webinars and various opportunities for learning exchange and so on and so forth. So we come back to this. My turn, I will take a few questions from the floor, but again, just a reminder that now we'll turn it over to the audience. So if you can, put down in the chat, because Amanda will keep track of who can go. If you're interested in presenting, very brief 2 minutes overview of your intervention in your country. If you want to share some, very exciting findings. Briefly have a suggestion of what you see the next level is for your program, or what activity we could do together that could really advance it. So I'll pause there, and I'll stop share. And I also want to have a lot of my GIST colleagues online as well. So if you want to jump in, if I miss things, please do so. But yeah, I'll turn it over now for quick 5-minute questions, and then to see. Then to hear from you, actually. Any questions on GIST? No. All right, so let's. Okay. Yes. No, you haven't misunderstood, Michael. But I just want to see if there are any questions for us. If not, we can open it up to the floor for to hear from colleagues about what you are doing on parenting on the ground. Wonderful. So let's begin, Michael. Let's turn the floor over to you. If you can take a few minutes to share with us what's happening on the ground, what are some exciting learning, and then maybe some reflections and thoughts about, what do we need to really do to ramp up attention on parenting, to have a collective movement on parenting, and so on. And let's get the dialogue going. So over to you, Michael, and then we'll go to Keith, and then I'm hoping others will keep raising their hands to share with us about what's going on from where you're calling in. All right, over to you, Mike.
Yeah, great, thanks. Our work in Kenya began with a question: what do we do about kids who live on the street? Which has led to reintegration, focus on a prevention focus, working with families and communities. So we currently have it's made possible to scale this intervention because the convening mechanism is an internal lending model. So it's a kind of a table banking with some modifications, but we have 10,000 plus families that come together every week, and they have young children and they have older children and they don't have any children. And as part of that, we have like a maternal child health component. So we have resource committees from these communities that come together that learn about maternal child health and the nurturing care framework and ECD. We have a ECD resource officer that works with parents to learn about play and how to interact with children. And then we have, we've begun, so the Kenya national government, like Uganda, and I'm sure others with funding from UNICEF and guidance from UNICEF, have developed a positive parenting curriculum, and we're hoping to get funding. We just submitted a proposal at NIH to see if across the counties where we can be active, if uptake of this positive parenting curriculum improves among people who are active in this kind of group-based microfinance combined with a defined curriculum. And we see among cohort data improvements in parenting styles, like more positive, less negative, kind of lax or hostile parenting, less child abuse, child maltreatment from the CTS parenting scale. But I think part of what's necessary is not just thinking about children. It's good, yes, to think about parenting, but it's also good to think about parents within the context of the communities where they are and how we build structures, how we cultivate kind of social structures, community support for parents across the generations of children of different ages in ways that improve mental, economic, social, as well as parenting skills. But I think that kind of cross-sectoral view, not just thinking about parenting, but the context in which parents find themselves, gives more partnership potential with different government agencies and funding possibilities also. And I think it's just necessary for how parenting works. But yeah, that's what we're doing. Thank you.
Michael, that's amazing, but you didn't tell us who the we is. You didn't name your organization.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we have an NGO called SODZO, SODZO International, or SODZO Kenya. And we have academic partners, University of Texas Medical Branch, School of Public Health, and a few other academic partners that are US and some in Kenya, but we need more academic partners in Kenya. So if you know anybody, let us know.
Oh, that's great. I think that's great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the chat, we have a Jamboard going where we're going to be taking notes on some of the stuff that's being shared, but we welcome everyone to kind of go there and put stuff in there. So we heard some really great, Michael, from you about, I mean, it's a really interesting model. I have so many questions, but that's really great. So if you can pop in some of the themes that are emerging, what we could do better together on the Jamboard, that's great. And I'll turn over to Eve, and I'm hoping to hear more from others as well. Thanks so much for sharing, Michael. And if you can pop in the chat, Michael, like other links to your organization or any information, that would be great. Over to you, Eve.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate being part of this effort and hope that everyone can see me and hear me. I'm working the front desk at the French school, so I may be interrupted by a doorbell or a phone, and will have to excuse myself at that point. But the reason I want to be with you all today is to let everyone know that Parents Forum is receiving inquiries for the next several weeks up to August 1st, Respect for Parents Day, for new partners. We charge a modest fee to license our curriculum. We provide curriculum materials. It's a peer support model that partners with schools, other community agencies, clinics, medical, correctional, youth, to support individual participants' emotional awareness, communication skills, and conflict management. And we have 30 years of experience of participants saying, everybody needs this. Where was this when I needed it so desperately? And we're ready to grow. So we're looking for new partners. We do have consultative status with the UN. And now here's a phone call coming in, which I will decline. Decline. Anyway, I would be happy to get email at eve@parentsforum.org and hear from any of you who might be interested and hear what you're doing as well.
Thanks, Eve. And Eve, you didn't share with us one idea or something that we could do better collectively together for parents or parenting to advance parenting support.
Oh, thank you. The major challenge that I see for our work in Parents Forum, but really for everyone in the effort to support parents, is to somehow normalize it and unplug the negative association. So if I say, oh, I need help with my parenting, it must mean there's something wrong with me? No. It must mean there's something wrong with my kids? No. It's like inoculations. Everyone gets their shots to protect against the inevitable challenges that we face, whether they're individual or social. And if we can together collectively, as through this effort, make it clear that parenting education is a positive and preventive and normal thing, I think that will be a big step. So thank you for all the work you're doing in that arena.
Thank you so much. Wonderful. Amanda, I hope someone is working to capture some of these partnership ideas on the What We Can Do Better slide. Again, I'm going to put the Jamboard link into the chat, and I'm going to move on now. The lineup is Nicole. Alessandra, you said you wanted to share, so I'm going to put you second, Kate, and then Allison. So again, a reminder to share a bit about your organization. Don't share about your organization, but just share about your initiative. What is it that you're doing? What is the big lessons learned, and what we need to do for Partnership Better to advance parenting? So go ahead, Nicole.
Okay, thanks. Hi, everyone. So I'm Nicole from Plan International, and I've also got some other Plan colleagues here, so they can feel free to also add to what I'm going to say. I'm not prepared, and it's 10:30 p.m. here in Melbourne, and my first meeting was at 7 a.m, so my brain is not fully working. And I think that Kate, actually from Equimundo, is probably going to follow up with some similar things to what I'm going to say, so it's great that Kate's also in the queue. So I just actually want to start with the last question around, what can we be doing to kind of advance parenting and work together. And I think from a plan perspective, and I'm sure Kate will also agree from Equimundo, that one of the things that we're really trying to do with our parenting work is focus on the gender dimensions and really change the way that parenting is thought about, because often when people hear the word parent, they think mother, and they think parenting group, they think mother's group. And so, we really need to kind of change that, the kind of gender roles and norms that perpetuate gender inequality, and also the way that parenting is considered, the role of women or female caregivers, and not the role of fathers or male caregivers. So really wanting to kind of change the way that parenting is thought about, and the way that we can, change the way that parents, ensure that parenting is shared amongst kind of female or men and women parents and caregivers. And that also extends to not only care for children, but also the way that kind of domestic and family kind of relationships are managed and happen within sort of intra-couple and intra-family kind of and intra-household relationships. So, and then in terms of kind of plans work, so yeah, I mean, a lot of Plan countries are doing work on parenting programs across contexts, so in both development and humanitarian contexts. And I'll get my colleague Lisa and Dina perhaps to kind of share a bit our parenting in emergencies work. So we are building an approach to parenting in emergencies that's really trying to not only support the support parents and support children and child development, but also support the way that caring for the caregiver, so supporting the mental health and psychosocial support of parents in crisis contexts, as well as the way that they can care for their children. Yep.
We just want to hear from everyone, so keeping it super brief and short to 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah,
so much.
and then the other. Sure, yeah, and then also around the men's engagement work. So a lot of our country officers are also really working through their parenting programs to engage men, to make sure that men as parents and as fathers and men caregivers are also engaged in parenting work. So yeah, so I can just leave it there. And unless there might be some opportunity later for some other plan colleagues to add. Thanks.
Thanks, Nicole. Alessandra. And as I wait for Alessandra to unmute herself, again, reminding if everyone can rename yourself to have your name, organization, and country, so we know where everyone is calling in from, that would be amazing. But Alessandra, are you with us? If not, I'm going to go to Kate. Kate, go ahead.
Sure. Thanks, everyone. Let me put the video for you there. I wanted to share, sort of building on Nicole's point, a particular program that Equimundo has been working on in Rwanda with the Rwanda Men's Resource Center and the Rwanda Biomedical Center, which is called Banda Bareho. And so it's a gender transformative program that engages fathers, works together with men and women to engage men in maternal, newborn, and child health, caregiving, and to prevent violence against women and children. And so it works with expectant and current parents of children under 5 years. And I think one of the things that we're really excited about is we recently conducted a 6-year follow-up to a randomized controlled trial. And we found that the program is having sort of sustained impacts on a number of outcomes over this 6-year period, which has been really exciting. So, sustained reductions in violence against children by both mothers and fathers, increased engagement of fathers in caring for children, reductions in intimate partner violence, improved caregiver mental health for both mothers and fathers, as well as improved child behavioral outcomes, and a number of other sort of health and gender related outcomes. And we're now working with the government to scale this up through the health system. So we've reached about 22,000 parents thus far and are hoping to reach about 100,000 in the next few years. So yeah, I think just building on Nicole's point, it'd be great to see more programs thoughtfully engaging fathers, and also programs thinking about not just violence against children, but violence against women as well, and what the impacts of that are for children and for mothers and women. And, I know my colleague Ruti from the Prevention Collaborative has also shared some of the work that the Prevention Collaborative is doing in the chat around trying to build capacity around how do we support parenting programs to work at the intersections of violence against women and children.
Amazing, Kate. Kate, you can share with us any resources or links to maybe the study that was published, and that's fantastic. And I think you pointed out another importance of a cross-sectoral bridge that needs to be built again within the parenting space. That's an opportunity for all of us to think about. Alison.
Hi everyone, my name is Alison Aptelin and I'm the CEO of Lively Minds. So we have a parenting program that we're running in both Ghana and Uganda. And essentially what we're doing is training up illiterate, marginalized parents in very rural communities and training them to run playgroups for the preschoolers in the community. And they also get parenting workshops to teach them cost-free ways that they can provide better nurturing care at home. I think what's unusual about our program is we're scaling it, or it's being scaled through government. So essentially we use a train model to get the healthcare system in Uganda and the education system in Ghana to roll out the program. So this year we've trained, or through this train the trainers, we trained up 70,000 parents, and we're on track to get another 70,000 trained this coming year. So I think we're learning a lot about how to scale through government a community-driven parenting program. We also have a radio program for parents in local languages that is currently being broadcast in 20 radio stations in Ghana in 18 languages, and in Uganda as well. So we're also learning a lot about how to reach parents through the radio, and we're just about to do a randomized control trial to look at the impacts there. So I'm really hoping to be able to share kind of quite a lot of resource, both about the parenting programs themselves, but also, as I say, sort of scalable ways of doing that through government. And then in regards to the question about what can we do sort of more collaboratively, I think one of the things that we're really starting to look at is it seems that in the ECD space, and particularly in the pre-primary space, the normal kind of the traditional investments and resourcing and policies really focus on the formal pre-primary provision. So kindergartens, ECD centres, training a professional workforce. And what we see a lot is that really can bypass parents and can kind of cause a false understanding that basically parents aren't capable ECD providers and that you need a professional workforce to do that. And so I think that there's some really important work that can be done basically to make sure that actually, especially in the pre-primary age, that really still is seen as parents of the primary pre-primary care providers, and really look at supportive policies that can do that and can kind of address this sort of I'd say this imbalance towards the formal system. And I think also the good thing about, I guess, parenting programs is that they can really be delivered at pace in a way that maybe the formal provision can't be. So I do think there's also some advocacy that we can do to really show that parenting programs shouldn't just sort of, I guess, stop at sort of age 3, but they can be continued sort of throughout childhood. And they should really be seen as a viable cost alternative to maybe the formal sector. So I'd be really keen to be more sort of involved in that, and to see if there are others who are willing to collaborate in that space.
Amazing, Alison. Thank you so much. I'm going to invite my guest partners. So I know Sabine, Isang, you guys are, I just want to make sure you know that I'll be putting you on the spot after we hear from partners to do a bit of a reflection back. What you're hearing. So just if you can prepare for that. Sorry, that's my little dog. If you can just be taking notes and thinking about that, because I think as a platform, we're here to sort of figure out how to build this larger movement. So again, Sabine, Brett, Isang, just alerting you that putting you on the spot is coming up soon. But Jen, can we hear from you?
Hi, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good day. So I'm Jen Reyes from Parenting for Lifelong Health Philippines. I'm the program, currently the program director, and we are implementing a parenting program called Masayang Pamilya or Happy Family. So we started in 2016, and since 2016, we've been testing and implementing evidence-based parenting program. And the origin really of PLH Philippines was because of a national violence against children survey. And based on that survey, like 80% of children who were interviewed actually experienced violence at home. So our goal is for prevention of violence against children at home, and we want to promote positive parenting. And in the last few years, we've been testing. We are promoting evidence-based parenting program, and here in the Philippines, based on Sabine's paper, there are only 3 evidence-based program, and that's something that is part of our advocacy to promote evidence-based program, not only to other organizations, but also to government units and to national government. And we've done a number of pre and post tests, and also RCT to test our program. And we are in the phase wherein we are integrating our program, scaling up our program in local government units, and also within the government social welfare system. And since we've started, the challenge is always how to work with the government, since here in the Philippines, every 3 years we have elections, so the administration is changing, and every time there's a change in the government, there's also like a new way or form for us to invite them or to promote to them evidence-based parenting program. This year we're so excited because there's a new law, UNI passed law called Parenting Effectiveness Service Program, and Parenting for Lifelong Health Philippines is actually one of the organization who's tapped to design the national parenting framework and at the same time to create modules that will be implemented in the national level. So meaning all of the local government units will be included. And at the same time, we've been also working with a conditional cash transfer here in the Philippines. It's a program wherein 2 modules are actually from our evidence-based program. So yeah, and now we've done face-to-face
Thanks,
and
Jen.
online
Jen, I'm gonna
parenting
cut you
program.
off.
All right.
I'm gonna cut you
Sure.
off because we want to
I'll
have
just
we have such a short amount of time. But
Sure,
can you
sure,
just
sure.
share what we need to do collectively and collaboratively, Jen, to advance parenting? Do you have an idea?
Yeah, I think almost the same with what others said. And I think it's for me here in the Philippines, it's really more on advocacy, really promoting, and we still have those kind of stereotypes. But when it's parenting, it's only the mothers. When it's parenting, it's only for young children. But we know, based on research and evidence that we've had in all of our studies, it's actually a continuous support to parents, and we need more fathers in our programs, in our parenting programs. So there.
Great, Sabine.
Yeah, thanks. I just want to follow up on Jen because I was just in the Philippines and saw the amazing work they're doing. And actually, from all the interventions, I just want to congratulate you. I think it's really great that you're all on here and explaining what you're doing. And what I found, the context I know better is the Philippines. What I found so interesting, there are 2 things. One, first of all, is that they've been pushing for a law on banning corporal punishment for many years. And then there was a veto by the previous president on even having that discussion around banning corporal punishment. And they managed to change the discourse to have a law on parenting support. And that was unanimously adopted by government. So it's so interesting, just framing the language around something positive has really made the difference. And the other thing is what Jen was saying is that there's such strong political commitment in the Philippines. And it's not the role of NGOs to be doing this work. It's really the role of government. Just like they build roads, like they build schools, like they set up their defense, their military defense, they should be setting up this parenting support. And I know in 99% of the countries, it's NGOs filling the gap until government will pick it up. But at the end of the day, like Jen said, we have to continue doing this advocacy at government level so that they start taking this parenting support seriously, that they own it, that they fund it, and that at some point non-governmental organizations will no longer be needed only as implementing partners from the government. So just 2 reflections from the great presentations today, and huge thanks to all of you for being here today.
Thanks, Sabine. Do we have anybody else from the floor? If not, what I'd like us to do now is we're just gonna have a little tea time break, where you're gonna just get assigned to breakout rooms. And in the breakout rooms, I think it would be good to reflect on some of the things that we've heard, some of the themes that have emerged. For me, there's been a lot of talk of different models. There's so many different types of models, innovative models that are emerging. There's been talk of, a lot of lessons learned around scaling, and it's kind of amazing that we're hearing about different initiatives that are scaling, but how do we kind of surface that? How do we learn that? A lot of stuff around innovating implementation through radio programs and other things that we've heard. How do we advocate for shifting from a more traditional formalized mechanism to formalized programs through the opportunity that parenting has to offer us, bridging different sectors, the target to fatherhood, bringing together different family outcomes, not just parenting outcomes. So we heard the social economic benefit and so on and so forth. Anyways, there was a lot of richness to all the programs. But if we could just go into the breakout rooms and have a brief discussion of what is that collective thing we need to do globally so that we can kind of elevate parenting from these individual programs that is making their, little ripple effects. Like what can we do to turbocharge some of these effects that we're hearing and where we want to go? So we'll quickly do that. Make sure you assign one person to report back to the whole group. So we'll hear from everyone. All right. Just about 10 minutes of getting to know someone new around the world working on parenting. So off we go. Please join your room. Cassie, are you with us? Are you able to join our group? Joni, Christine, Sabina, Herman, Desiree, Carolyn. Are you guys able to join room?
I need to leave in 10 to another meeting, so I don't want to disrupt the group dynamic.
Okay. It's just that in some groups then we have less people, so I just need to balance that out.
Okay.
No problem. Amanda, do you want to join group 7, room 7?
Sure, yeah, I'll jump in that one.
Like 2 people in there.
We'll just give it a minute for everyone to come back to the main room. Go.
We are back. Excellent. I hope everyone had a good conversation. Eve, do you have your hands up?
Hello, I wanted to take the quick, quiet moment when there's no children passing beside my desk to report on our group with Dina from Plan International Australia and Kate from Equimundo. I'm from Parents Forum in Cambridge, Mass. And we talked about several of the things that the whole group has talked about: normalizing parenting education, engaging men, and two new ideas perhaps to the conversation is the issue of associations of parenting educators and parenting education programs on a national or perhaps regional level. Just as in the US, there's the National Parenting Education Network, npen.org, which is long established and very supportive of individual and program efforts. And then the other issue is that we discussed is the role of media and how it can or support or perhaps undermine the role of parenting for individuals, specifically for men, and presenting caring as a key element in masculinity. How is that depicted? And I mentioned also the organization Hollywood Health and Society, which advises writers. So that's Hollywood Health and Society. I don't know if there's something similar in other regions, but this is a very rich discussion, and I'll turn off my raise hand and thank everyone. Eve Sullivan, Parents Forum.
Super interesting. Thanks, Eve. Can we get someone from room 2, Isang? That's someone in your room?
Sure, I'm happy to present. So from room 2, we had Nicole from Plan and Garaltia from Mongolia. Sorry, I didn't get the name of the organization. And we discussed a number of challenges. And I think these are some of the things that were already mentioned in previous discussions and in the presentation that the lovely presentations before we went into the breakout room. Some of them were challenges of recruiting parents to participate in the parenting interventions, as many parents are busy or may not see the need for this. And we talked about the need for more advocacy and need to work with relevant ministries to have a policy on this. And one of the things we really emphasized is, or that really came up and we spoke strongly about, is the need to share best practices and evidence, rather than working in silos. Maybe we could have a resource bank or something, or even through meetings such as this, to share best practices so we can learn from what is working in other places. And we really talked about male engagement, that is needed more. And of course, I think it was Nicole that mentioned the need to emphasize in our parenting programs, playful parenting, that many parents, they see the need for, they understand parenting from how this helps their children in nutrition and in health, but they may not see the need for playful parenting, that this is something we really need to emphasize in parenting programs. And of course, getting fathers to do stuff, male engagement, that is very important. I think that's it, but feel free to chip in a word or two if I've left out anything, Nicole and Garotia.
Amazing. That was very rich. Thank you so much. Room 3, Allison.
Hi, me again. I apologize to my group because I think I kind of rather dominated the conversation because I'm just so excited about this forum and this gathering and the opportunities it brings. But what we were really discussing was that there's so much, I guess, potential to showcase all the great work that is being done by lots of different organizations in parenting. And really, there's a really strong basis for an advocacy strategy, I guess, for global policymakers, practitioners, funders, to really showcase best practices, really exciting work that everyone here is doing in other forums, with a hope basically of bringing about I guess a systems change so that just more resourcing is placed on parenting, so that parenting, the role of parenting is really elevated, so that governments get more serious about supporting parenting programs, parenting investments. I think someone was mentioning earlier, sort of getting policy in that really provides for holistic parenting support. So I think an advocacy strategy that everyone can contribute to. So it isn't about trying to sort of say this model is how it should be, but just sort of showcasing lots of different models with a view basically to that wider systems change, focusing on supporting parents. It sounds like there's a real exciting opportunity to do that with this group.
Thanks, Alison. Group 4, that's Hamid in your group. Someone to present there.
Yeah, sorry, our group kind of came together a bit late, but I was with Alexandra Schneider and Charles Gusto, and it turns out they both work around parent-children communication. In the case of Alexandra, it's mostly about developing courses, among others, about how to access quality of child-parent interaction. And for Charles, it's about the sensitive children who are prone to HIV and how to build communication between children and parents/caregivers. So Jen Reyes was supposed to be with us, but she came a bit late, so I didn't get to hear from her. So if she wants to add anything, you can go ahead. Thank you.
Thanks, Hamid. Wonderful. Let's go to room 5. That's Sean and Jamatil Fajar.
Hi, I think I'm feeding back because we had some sound problems, but I'm reading notes, private messages that are coming in from my group as we do it. So apologies if I haven't got this correct. So we were 3, you've introduced our names. We talked about, a big push for male engagement in the Global South to ensure inclusivity. We shared examples of using social media. In Indonesia, Jumatil was talking about using Telegram to share parenting messages. But we also had the example of some work I've been involved in Sierra Leone, where a national parenting program, there's challenges in terms of any digital access because people haven't got access to any form of airtime or, let alone the internet. So that needs to be borne in mind. We talked about Kenya's national framework and program and the fact that it's been designed to intentionally be sort of flexible, but acknowledging the point that resourcing is a huge issue, and how do you get something that's a national framework, but that you have the leadership to bring in resources and flexibility. Sorry, I'm just checking the messages. There's a note, push for global level advocacy on parenting that will integrate the voice of the in-country programs, so making sure that it's bottom up is one of the other points we made. I don't know if there's anything that you want to add, Jumatil or Carol. Thank you.
It's okay for me.
That was excellent. I'm hearing advocacy come up as a strong theme, which is perfect because now we go to room 6, and Brett, that's your room. So I don't know who's presenting from your group, but over to you.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I would love one of my partners here working at the country level to present if interested. Michael or Akisi?
I'm happy to. I don't need to.
Go ahead, and I can provide some additional thoughts.
Okay, great. Yeah, we had some inspiring colleagues. Akisi is located in Cote d'Ivoire with investing in children and their societies, ICSSP. They do work with male engagement, father engagement. Also, they do work in preventing child labor and working in the chocolate sector, the kind of band of cocoa production, if I understood that correctly, Kisi, and then Michael from Ethiopia Child Fund he presented on 25 radio dramas that they created with funding from the Lego Foundation. There are 5 different kind of domains that had 5 different discussions, each on early childhood development, community development, social emotional learning, physical development. And then Brett was very generous in offering to help amplify messages and ways of thinking and framing the work that we're doing at national and international levels. And then I presented earlier in our meeting. So that's who we were.
Amazing. Brett, do you have anything more to add?
Yeah, one thing I would just say that continues to resonate with me is, you know, I think we see a lot of common themes emerge, right? The need for male engagement, the need to address social norms, the need for mobilization at the country level. And I think that points to a couple of things. One is maybe there's a need to develop a set of key messages to really help address some of those social norms. To me, it sounds like we really need more champions to engage publicly, particularly men and fathers. And so one of my asks to all of you is to think about what resources would be helpful for your country work to help to sort of amplify and catalyze your advocacy and communications. I'll put my name in the chat, but would love for you to think about what are those, what public goods, what you know, do you are looking for toolkits or case studies or key messages. So,
well, Brett, I would even say to take it even one step further, because what I'm hearing is that there are partners who are already developing advocacy national strategies, and it might be nice to maybe facilitate bringing them together to share assets that are in development and see if we can have a bit of a GIST process around some of that country advocacy effort. Because already I'm hearing Lively Minds and others who already have a national advocacy strategy around some of this. I'm wondering whether it's about bringing a few countries together with an interest in this and political will. Hi, Gretchen. But yes, absolutely. I think advocacy came up to the surface as a big. I love the idea of regional association of parenting programs. I thought that was really interesting, Eve and the group there. You know, the creative use of media. Carol, I know you've been doing some work on trying to get media out there, but then also this idea of how do we learn from different models and surface some of that. And that's really fantastic, and that's a great transition. I'm going to hand it over to Hamid and Amanda to maybe launch the Home for GIST, where we're hoping everyone can sort of input into and share. And so this is the official launch of the Global Initiative to Support Parents website, which is meant to be a global parenting home for everyone to have a space on there. So over to you, Amanda and Hamid, to officially launch the website. And a big shout out to Claire, who's on the line, who's been doing a lot of work, and Carol as well.
Yes, so I'm sharing my screen right now, so hopefully everyone can see it, but I wanted to say, first of all, thank you to Hamid, to Claire, to Carol, to everyone else who has provided feedback. And as Shikufe mentioned, one thing that we would like to share today is a new resource for everyone to use and to contribute to is the website for the Global Initiative to Support Parents, which we really hope will be an interagency, intersectoral, across the life course hub for resources on parenting caregiver support interventions. So I've got the homepage up here and the website, if you'd like to go ahead and poke around yourself, Shikufe has just put in the chat, it's support-parents.org. So feel free to look around in real time as we go. But this is our homepage. We've got a map of the regions we work in here. And one feature that we'd like to launch really soon is a mapping of different parenting support interventions across the world. And this is one thing that we think some of you can contribute to, is to share where you're doing your work. And we would ideally like to have a map where you can filter based on where different organizations are working to show the different range of parents being covered and being reached across the world. We've also had our regional convenings. We had 4 last year, as Shikufe mentioned earlier, and we have an upcoming Middle Eastern regional convening, and we hope to have some of that work feed into the website as well. We also have a knowledge hub, which has resources on parenting caregiver support. We have only started off with some kind of high-level frameworks and toolkits, but as you can see here on the website, if you'd like to access it yourself, it's Parenting Knowledge Hub here. There's a way to search resources and to submit your own resources as well that are evidence-based. So we have a way of filtering through different resources here. We've got, for example, the Nurturing Care and Men's Engagement brief. We have some evidence on parenting caregiver support, and these are all tagged with different forms of what evidence they are, or what regions or what language they're in. And so you can really see here different ways of filtering for the resources that you need. And as we said, this is still getting started, so we welcome any submissions that you have. In addition to our resource knowledge hub here, we also have different frameworks and policies in parents and caregiver support. And these are really the global level tools and frameworks, all bringing together different sectors. So for example, we have the Nurturing Care Framework, which covers parent and caregiver support, but we haven't, for example, had one resource that brings it together with the Helping Adolescents Thrive Toolkit, or the Inspire strategies, or the new WHO guidelines. And all of these deal with parent and caregiver support initiatives, but we haven't had one landing page for all of them before. So this website is really supposed to bring together the work that's being done across sectors and kind of remove some of those silos. So in addition to the technical and evidence-based resources that we have available, we also have ways for you to get involved, because that's another thing, is in addition to providing resources, we really want to build this sense of community and movement around global parent and caregiver support partners. So we have our call to action here, which we welcome you to sign. We have different events and media and webinars included. So if you have any events around parent and caregiver support you'd like to include, feel free to email us and we will include them on our website. We can include them in future newsletters. We also have a blog, which has resources and information on different programs. We have advocacy resources, which right now includes our social media toolkit, if you would like to use any of that to share about parent and caregiver support. And like I said, we really, really encourage everyone to just submit and to see this as a community resource that you also can contribute to and use and share, not just for guests, but for everyone involved in parent and caregiver support. So in addition to what we've got here in terms of resources that already exist, we're already thinking about future versions of the website. So I mentioned, for example, the regional mappings and the regional maps that have programs listed. And so if you have any other suggestions for future features that you would really love to see, or anything you think is missing here, we would really love your feedback in the chat or over email. And I don't want to take up too much time now, but just wanted to share a little bit of an overview and share this with you to give you a very quick walkthrough to see some of what we're offering and what we would like to offer in the future as well, and how you can contribute. Hamid, Claire, is there anything I've missed that you'd like to add from your side?
No, that was pretty much everything. Thank you, Amanda. And just wanted to say that we built the website with really the user in mind. We collaborated with several of our partners just to get the feel of it and let them give us the directions. And so we hope that you will also take ownership of this and then send us your feedbacks and any content, and then so we can build an even better website. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Amanda and team. We'll just open it up to the floor for any initial reactions or comments and last thoughts before we close. We hope to have the Global Parenting Forum, the Global Parenting Town Halls every few months. But we also have the Global Forum that's coming up next year on parenting for the first time, bringing together governments. So that's going to be really exciting. But we hope to stay in touch with all of you through the newsletter, through webinars. Please reach out to us for collaborative ideas. But we really want to begin, this is just the beginning of a global dialogue on parenting, but just opening the floor up to you for any final remarks or thoughts while we close. All right, well, if we don't have any last thoughts, again, thank you so much for everyone to join, to share. I see people are sharing their emails, and we'll be in touch with all the registrants and share all the resources with you. And yeah, very, very happy to have you here. And thank you so much to everyone for joining us for this first ever Global Parenting Town Hall. And Isang, I know I wanted to turn the floor over to you as well as a member of GIST to see if you have any final remarks or reflections.
Thank you, Shekufe. I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who joined us in the meeting today. It was really great to hear the thoughts and, and to see how much everyone engaged in this, to see that this is so important to everyone. And I mean, from listening to all the feedback we got from the different groups and even in the chat and contributions, even before we had the breakout rooms, I think similar things come up. The need for more advocacy, the need to work together to share, the need to work together to collaborate some more, to share, to connect some more. And I'm sure that as we continue to work together, we'll be able to support each other and to, even in the implementation of the different parenting interventions, and to come together, advocate more for support from the government. And one other thing that stood out in addition to advocacy is the need for male engagement to work more on this. And we're looking forward to working more with everybody here. And of course, even those who couldn't join us. So thank you again for joining us. And thank you, Shekufe, for leading this. And Amanda and team, fantastic work on the website. Thank you, everybody.
Everyone, wishing everyone a wonderful day. Thank you so much for sharing all your work. And remember, we have newsletters. Welcome to share your work so we can advertise it, and then we'll be reviewing some of the ideas and seeing where we can find collaborative opportunities for everyone. So thanks again. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Everyone.